Most firms survive, the best ones scale. Welcome to the Managing Partners Podcast, where law firm leaders learn to think bigger. I'm Kevin Daisey. Let's jump in. All right, everyone. What's going on? Live, recording another episode here on the Managing Partners Podcast. I have Jason Turnquist on today, and he's got some interesting stories to share. So we're going to be talking some AI, no surprise, and always looking to learn more about AI. How can we use it? How can firms leverage it? And there's just so much good things out there, good products out there, but there's also ones that, maybe are not good. So, but Jason's had a really cool story. So I want you to just kind of start off, Jason, and tell your interesting story on how you got started in this business.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Kevin. So I've been a business owner for 15 years now. I started State University. I'm originally from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I came down here to Arizona, knew nobody. Went to college, graduated with a degree in computer information systems. So when I started my business, like right before I started it, actually, it's a funny story because it pertains to actually how I met my current co-founder for ProPlaintiff. I was a frat guy. I was living with four guys, and it must have been 2008 roughly, and a show had come out on MTV called The Jersey Shore, and this is like kind of right when I started getting into like computers and or just like building websites and whatnot. And so we were sitting around a couch and we're like watching this first episode of The Jersey Shore because one of the guys, he was from Jersey, so it was like this whole thing. And we're sitting there watching it, and we're like, this guy Mike the Situation, he's like quite the character. You can kind of pinpoint from like the first show, like who's going to be, the more like alpha characters, if you will, in the reality TV show. And so I ran upstairs and I bought his domain name, mikethesituation.com. And I was like, well, I bought this, like I could blog on this. So I set up a WordPress website and I started blogging. Like we'd watch an episode and I'd, write out a blog post, and it started to get a lot of traffic. Like it ranked number one for his name. And because Jersey Shore was like such a phenomenon at the time, people started Googling him, and the website that I had purchased and was creating content for like ranked number one for his name. So it was getting a lot of traffic. And so I started realizing that like, okay, well now I'm writing these posts, I'm getting this traffic. How do I monetize this? So I it was a company called Zazzle, and it allowed you, it was like print on demand.
Oh yeah,
So
I've heard of
those
that.
companies like Printful, like you can print anything on demand. So anyways, what I did is I went on Zazzle and I made an account, and then I created these different designs for, different phrases that they would say on the show, like gym tan laundry and whatever else. And so I would take those and then make different like merch pieces, and then I embedded it onto the website for people to buy merch. Well, people started buying merch, and at the time it wasn't a ton. It's like maybe $500-$600 a month, but it was growing. And all of a sudden one day I get this notification from the hosting company. They're like, yeah, due to this cease and desist, we have to shut your website down. And I'm like, oh no. And so I didn't know what to do. So I consulted with a couple of my computer buddies and ended up moving the website to this like Taiwanese like hosting company so that they couldn't shut it down. Well, so I thought anyway. So I got it up and running, and it's running for a few weeks. And then all of a sudden, like they hit me with the cease, they got it too. And then I ended up getting one in the mail as well. And so at the time, I was young. I was like 23 maybe. Had never really done anything like this. So I Googled business attorney in Phoenix, and I called the first one with the most stars. It was like David Hudspeth Law. So I called them and I kind of told them like what happened. I got the cease and desist, and like I don't really know what to do. Is there an attorney I could talk to? They connected me with one of their attorneys at the time, Chris Rezzigoli. Chris, he's my current co-founder on ProPlaintiff, but he worked with me. We ended up like he helped me negotiate a price to sell it to them because they were trying to say that I was squatting on the domain, which is technically illegal if you're squatting. And so they can actually they can submit something to ICANN, which is kind of like the authority that manages domains. And they could theoretically take it away from me if they could prove that I was squatting. Well, he said, because you're a fan, you're blogging as a fan, your goal wasn't to sell it back to them. You just bought the domain and, as a fan and wanted to do this. So that was the
And you were
pitch.
active. You were active on there. It wasn't sitting
Yeah.
dormant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was never to just buy it and like sell it back to him. I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest with you, at the time. So he helped me negotiate a deal, and I sold the domain to them, and I used the money that he had helped me get to start my agency, Firesight, which is a software development agency. And I have been working with Chris ever since. We built his website. He's come to me with different projects over the years that he wanted to do. And then he came to me in 2022 with an idea to build like an AI application for his firm. And then like we basically born the company out of that concept.
So yeah, it's an awesome story. Really cool stuff. I've heard some interesting stories about domains over the years. A good friend of mine years ago, he owned Match.com like in the early, 2000s or something like that, and sold it for a couple $100,000. But just, back in the day, he just bought a bunch of names. Didn't even really know, had no clue that would ever be like a dating website. But
I know.
anyway, yeah. So interesting stuff. Well, so all right, I want to talk more about, so ProPlaintiff, that's what we're talking about here, which is his AI product, which, came out of a law firm asking for his help to do something for their internal processes. And then you've now partnered up with this lawyer to build ProPlaintiff and launch it on the market. So ProPlaintiff.ai, if you want to check it out. So what does it do? What's unique about it? And yeah, just tell us a little bit more about what the program does and how it can help some of the lawyers that are listening. Thank you for tuning into the show today. I have taken things to the next level, and I've started the Managing Partners Mastermind. We're a peer group of owners looking for connection, clarity, and growth strategies. So if you're looking to grow your law firm and not do it alone, please consider joining the group. Spots are limited, so I ask for anyone to reach out to me directly through LinkedIn, and we can set up a one-on-one call to make sure it's a fit. Now back to the show.
Yes. So kind of going back to my story, Chris runs a law firm here in the Valley. He does business law. They do some family law. They do a lot of PI. So in 2022, 2023 now? I forget the timeline. Anyways, ChatGPT just launched. Yeah, I think it was fall of 2022 is when it launched. He called me in maybe the springtime of 2023, and he, as part of his law firm, and I had never really understood what PI law firms do, really, to be honest with you. I've known a few, but I didn't know like the details. And so he's like, "Hey, have you tried ChatGPT?" I was like, "Yeah, I've been using it for some of the marketing content we're producing. It's amazing. I love it. Like, it's awesome." And he's like, "Yeah, I've been playing around with it to see like how I can get it to maybe create certain legal documents for the firm, and it's been doing actually a really, really good job. But my paralegal wants me to bring in some more help. And I'm thinking that if I can get her to use ChatGPT, like I may not have to hire an additional paralegal at the moment, and she can kind of get what she needs done, and we don't need to go that direction." And I was like, "Okay, so what are you thinking? Like you have like pre-made prompts?" And he's like, "No, I'm thinking like super easy where it's a form and she uploads some documents and then it just spits out a demand letter." And I'm like, "Sure, no problem. I think that like we could do that." There were some limitations at the time because ChatGPT, like you couldn't upload PDFs. I don't know if you remember that in the very beginning, like it was no PDFs at first. And then they're like, "Okay, you can upload like a small PDF." But it was limited by size. Like I think it was only like 5 megabytes or 10 megabytes or something. And so he's like, "But how are we going to get it to do that? How are we going to get to analyze the PDFs if like this is our size limitation?" And so this is where our skill set of building web applications over the last 10 years, we've built a lot of different web applications, mobile applications, like a lot of software. So we understand like that side of it. So we said, well, what we'll do is we'll build a microservice on AWS. That way we'll ingest the PDFs. We will chunk them down into smaller bite-sized pages, and then we'll feed that into the AI. So it'll take longer, but we can essentially bypass it by doing this solution. So that's what we did. We built a prototype where it was literally a simple form. Like she just put in some basic information, and then We did have to do something called OCR. So OCR is like optical character recognition, and it's what you do if the PDF is like a scan. Because
Mm,
like you
yeah.
generally have two different types of PDFs. You
It's
have a
not
text.
got content in
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Like if you can highlight the content on the PDF, then it's a text. It's a text PDF. If you can't, then it's an image. It was a scan. And in that case, we have to use software to actually like pull out the characters and then parse the content into like a usable format that we can upload back to the API. So that's what we did, and it worked really well. And his internal team, like they were using it, and they would provide us feedback, and we'd make little improvements here and there. And then after probably about not even 6 months, probably 3.5 months, I went to him and was like, hey, we should turn this into like, there's probably other law firms that want to do this. Like, we should turn it into a multi-tenant SaaS app, and people can subscribe, and they can just like they can build these demand letters themselves, and their firm can do it. And so that's what we did. We launched it, and it was literally just summaries and demand letters. So summaries, because you already have to summarize the document like when you're building the demand letter. But a lot of people just wanted to be able to like upload like 3 or 4 documents, have it summarize it, and then they could, now that it's transcribed into a summary, they can do whatever with it. They can go, build a motion or a lien reduction letter or whatever else, whatever other type of document you might need to make. So we launched it to the public in 2024 in January, and with those 2 features, and we got some traction with it. But as people would churn, we would ask them for their feedback. And so one of the things was medical chronologies was like another big thing, kind of complicated because you're taking potentially 10 to 20 medical records, and you're feeding it in. The other thing I should mention too is we got a BAA with OpenAI, so we can actually pass like sensitive data into the models, and then it's guaranteed to be HIPAA compliant on their end. And
Okay.
as long as it's HIPAA compliant on our end too, then we can pass that. And so that's what also kind of gave us an advantage where you couldn't do that with like the standard ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now the product does summaries, and it does batch summaries. It does demand letters. It does medical chronologies. And then it does what we call doc review, where you just upload a document and then ask questions. And then we have something called media analysis, where you can upload like a 911 call, a deposition, body cam footage,
Wow.
whatever. You can upload it, and then what it will do is it will chapterize it. It's kind of similar to YouTube, like when you're on YouTube and it chapters it based on the content. So it does that. It'll summarize what you've uploaded, and it will transcribe it. And so you can see the multiple speakers and what they say and when they say it. So
Wow. That's awesome. So
yeah,
it's come a long way in a short amount of time. That sounds like.
very short. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no
That's pretty
moat
awesome.
anymore. I feel like with startups, like the only moat is speed at this point.
It's just insane, like how fast things are moving and with AI and what's going on out there. So it's just impressive to see. So ProPlaintiff.ai does a whole lot. What's the best way to check it out? It looks like I know you guys have free trial. Sign up and check it out. Demo.
Yeah, we
What's the
do.
best way for someone
It's
to
a
take a look at it?
7-day free trial. So
Nice.
they can sign up. They can use it for free for 7 days. We have 3 different like our whole thing is, again, with my history of building software, I really like transparency in the software space. Nothing bothers me more than like you go to a website and you're like, I want to try this, and they're like, hey, you have to do a demo first. And so
You get
we
on a
went.
sales call with our sales team.
Yeah, yeah. And so I wanted us to take a completely different approach that was more like democratized or transparent, to where you go, you sign up, you create an account. We have 3 different package levels depending on the size of the firm and the number of documents that you need to process in a given month. So you have a small, medium, large, and then like an enterprise. And you can sign up, you can test it, and if you like it, then you continue with the account, and then you can still book a demo with us. We'll do a demo. I think it's very important to do that. But yeah, you can get in there and try it yourself too.
Yes. Yes. No, I was just had a call yesterday with a bunch of law firm owners, and some of the smaller law firm mindsets out there. I was talking to a younger firm. They're actually a client of mine, and they're like, "Yeah, she's like, I spent like 3 hours this morning trying to call the court to just let them know that I could be there if because they had a client that was there as a criminal defense attorney." And it's like the other guys are like, "You spent 3 hours trying to call? Like, you should have someone doing that for you." And the same thing with this kind of stuff. If you're not leveraging these softwares and AI to save you time, you should be working on high level stuff as the lawyer, and,
100%.
and cut all this other crap out. And that's why you hire a paralegal. That's why you hire an assistant. So, the same thing you'd be doing with this AI is saving yourself time to focus on the important work, not necessarily to replace everybody or to not hire anybody to work for you, but give them the tools to, do more of what they know how to do versus grunt work stuff that's just, they shouldn't be doing either.
I kind of attribute it to, like, I'm a builder. I love to build things. You saw my Legos in the background. Like,
Yeah.
I love it. And I've built a lot of IKEA furniture before, right? And I'm good at building and I'm
I hate when my
fast.
wife buys IKEA furniture.
Yeah. But if you give me a power drill versus doing a hand screwdriver, like, I'm going to go with the power drill because I can do the same job in 15 minutes versus I've had some of those. If you're using like the little Allen key, yeah, it's going to take you an hour and a half. And it's like, I could move on. I could do something in 15 minutes, move on to something other that's high priority than assemble a table.
Yeah,
So
and here's
it's
the thing, and you have the reward is you put it together and you're done. You're like, "Here, did it,
exactly,
and I
yeah.
did it in record time, and it looks great on the next thing," you know?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
I gotta go do something else in the backyard, so it's like, "Oh, I already got that done. Task done. Boom." So I kinda see it in as, like, there's a lot of different aspects that you can use AI that it makes sense. I don't not every use case is gonna make sense, to be honest with you. Like, there's still very much things that like, take human touch, but, more monotonous things, the marketing, like, I have our entire marketing team uses AI for all aspects of content creation, image creation. Normally it would take you 2 hours to write a blog, like a good blog post. Now you can make a good one in 30 minutes, right? And you can put your touch on it and you can finalize it. And so I kind of see it the same way as even for a lot of the attorneys, like when they're building these documents, like it's very tedious to A, scan through these documents, and then B, have to transcribe like whatever is said on that document into this other document. Like it's really not like it's good work to offset and give to AI. That's like what AI is very good at, like very monotonous, like things like that. And the models are getting stronger, so you can start to do some inspiration stuff too if you need to do that. But that's where I think
Man,
it's,
it's
yeah,
it's
go ahead.
it's just amazing across the board. I mean, yeah, I'm saying I totally agree with all that, and I use it for, like, sales or meetings with law firms or owners. Like this video, if we were doing this in my software, we'd be running behind the scenes. If this was like a Google Meet or a Zoom, and it literally gives me everything. What was talked about, what was promised, what they said, and then it gives you feedback. Hey, you talked a little bit too much here. You should have said this instead of that, and that and said, hey, let's talk about that. This meeting is for this purpose. We can talk about that maybe later offline. And so you can do this with team meetings, internal meetings, your staff, and it just gives you all the important stuff and like takeaways. Bam. Here's that whole hour meeting. Here's the takeaways. Here's the to-dos. And then here's where you can improve that whole meeting and save 30 minutes. And so it's like you have all that at your fingertips at this point, you
How
know,
many times have you done a meeting and then like an hour later you forget what was said and you didn't write it down? Like,
every time.
it's
I just actually not
mandatory that our team records all meetings so that we can transcribe it, and then you can turn it into a bullet point list of things that need, like, action items, or like a checklist of things to do. So it's, yeah, it's just, it allows us humans, I think, to be able to like kind of do what we're really good at. And like some things, like with me, I don't have the best memory all the time. Like I have a lot of different conversations all the time, so it comes in handy very much to like not have to like bear that weight of remembering single detail.
Well, think about a lawyer with lots of cases and lots of
Yeah.
clients, and having to remember not just the information about the case or the situation, but remembering the client's name and their kids or their names or what was talked about last time. You could, with AI, you could literally have like, well, here's everything before I get in the meeting with them. Like, let me just catch up again on, okay, yeah, boom. And you have everything at your fingertips. But now you don't have to worry about tracking all that stuff and having a printed file that you go check through before they step in the meeting. So tons of benefits, tons of optimizations,
Yeah,
and
that's why
got to
I'm
be used.
excited about, we have like a V3 version of ProPlaintiff that we're working on. We're
Nice.
we're going to be launching it here at the end of July into beta, but like we completely redid the platform from the ground up to be agentic from the very beginning. So like I kind of look at AI as like almost creating like this operating system for the law firm, to where all this data, all these documents that you ingest into your system, like now that they're there and they're downloaded, like have they been indexed? Could an LLM, if they're indexed and you connect an LLM, you could go back at any point in time and ask questions about that case, or have it pull up things or make another type of document because it has all that data there. And so we're really excited about the new V3 version, because that will start to be able to do that and create like this AI agent operating system, and we can do, and then that'll create the foundation to do more exciting things. Like you've seen some of the newer products launch conversational AIs.
Yep. Yep.
Yep, where you can start to do like intake calls that are qualified by an AI agent. And then you set what the parameters are on the qualification. And if it meets those qualification standards, then it could auto book a day and time with the attorney to actually do, to do the actual call. And then so that's one of the things that we'll be working on, like we've started working on, and we have a prototype for it. But so
Yeah.
yeah.
Here's the thing too. AI is going to be consistent. Right. And so law firm owners and people I talk to are always like, yeah, my intake department, I'm always training. I'm always trying to improve, but make sure they have empathy on the phone, and we're checking and scoring, and they have to take hundreds of calls a day, and they're always going to be perfect, and they're always going to be in a good mood, and they're never going to be sick. That's crazy, right? AI can be consistent every time, and it can get better and better. And so I've heard mixed feelings about, does AI answer the phone calls? And maybe they're not the best at the moment, but it's going to be better
Getting
than a
better.
human. It's going to be better. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, if you were calling right now to get something handled, it could be like calling your phone provider or your internet's down or whatever, it doesn't matter. If the AI is fast and answers right away and gets you quickly to the answer or to the solution, do you care? Or would you rather have Sally or Bob who's pissed off and puts you on hold, and, they're going through their own thing? AI is not going to do that. So it's, and at the end of the day, does the client really care? Now, at the end of the day, they might want to talk to the attorney and they have that real conversation, but it's not yet known if that needs to happen. And that's
And
the
I
attorney's
think
time.
just like the paralegal, like paralegals have so much on their plate already with all these different things. And so, yeah, if there's certain things that you can offload to AI, whether it be like the language models of creating documents or transcribing, or if it's on the like conversational side of either intake or outbound calls, like maybe calling an insurance company to set up a claim, right? Or any one of those situations, or maybe there's like AI automations where if certain things happen, it can like auto text and then do this and that. And so it's just, I see it as sky's the limit. And Sam Altman has even talked about like, at some point, you'll see billion-dollar companies with like one or two people, and the rest, they're using AI agents. And I don't know what company that will be, and I don't know how they're going to do it necessarily, but somebody will figure out how to run an organization full of AI agents and have one or two people at the head, and that's how it'll operate.
I believe that. It's, I'm sure someone's going to find, what business that makes sense for and what model, and do
Yeah.
it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, so, I'll be on this show, and everyone I bring on here and the lawyers that listen to it, for the most part, are pretty innovative. I think some people I talk to are still very scared of it or not sure about it, or they don't really lean into it or use it, but it's here. It ain't going nowhere. And so your competitors are going to be using it. They're going to be getting a leg up. You can bitch about it if you want, but you got to find a way to stay, competitive in the market. And again, you want more time to vacation, to take off. Your paralegals don't need to be busting their butt doing shit they don't need to do. So if you got to leverage it, you just got to get into it. So, but
I
anyway, I'm
think,
interested in hearing anyone's questions. If they, have questions or concerns, throw them our way. Put them in the comments if you're watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube. I'm happy to answer you.
yeah, I think, it's always good to be a little weary of technology in general. And I think you have to have a healthy distrust for it. But at the same time, throwing up walls and thinking that it's not going to become more and more popular. I always think back to kind of like the internet, like back in the 90s, right? You read all these, you go back to that time and you look at articles and like how they were written, and it's like, internet reserved for academia. Internet is just a fad. Internet. And it's like, I think a lot of people can't necessarily see trends very well, or maybe they can, but they, like I said, it's like their own personal, they don't want to adopt it yet. And so if you look at all technology adoption, it follows a bell curve, just like any
Smartphones.
Yeah, like just like anything, and you're gonna have you're gonna have the innovators, you're gonna have the early adopters, like the early stage users, and then the late stage users, and then the last to use. And it's just like, where does your personality fit on that technology bell curve? Mine, I'm a very early adopter. I like to try new things out all the time and then figure out like, how can I use this? And sometimes, you might use it for a little bit and you're like, this whatever. And then other times, like, it really just gets a hold of you. So I
Yeah,
think
we now have a full-time person that just is doing AI implementation across each department. That's their whole job, full-time. Go into the department, figure out how to optimize that department. Next department, go in there, look at all the processes, find all the ways to, optimize.
I did that with my agency team, actually, like, probably about a year ago. We started going in and I was like, we're gonna get a team ChatGPT account, right? But we're also gonna do an AI, like, what do you call it? Like, basically we all get on a virtual call like every once a month, and we'll do like an AI tips and tricks meeting. And a few of us, like, because I have a design department, we're graphic design, you have a software development department, you got marketing, you got sales, you got customer support or project management. So all those departments can use AI in different forms or fashions. Well, the point of kind of bringing everyone together for like an AI tips and tricks meeting is people can share things that they're doing, that they're seeing really good results with, that they can share with others, so that those folks can grasp onto it quicker. And you have them share screen and they'll be like, hey, for design, like, I'm doing this with Figma and ChatGPT, and I'm like, this is how I do it. And so it gets everyone to learn a lot quicker when you do that, because you'll get a few people that really adopt it quickly, and then you get some people that, it's the last thing that they think about in the day, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
by bringing everyone together and kind of just sharing as a tips and tricks, like, collab meeting, like, people will,
Great.
they're learning.
That's a great tip for the law firms listening, owners, because different departments in a law firm can be admins or your intake crew or your paralegals. Like how are using that? That's a good idea. We have all hands tomorrow meeting with like 50 some people, and we have an AI presentation, and then we have like weekly all hands meetings. And so if anyone's done anything, like we had them do like a share, and so like, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's I'm using AI for this. It is not just AI, but that's been more recently, how we're automizing and how we're saving time. And they'll be like, hey, this used to take us 7 hours to do. Now it's taking 30 minutes. And I think if people see, like you're saying, like a team member share, then they're more likely to go, oh, wait a minute, I need to get on the ball, because they're making improvements. They're speeding up their efficiencies, their time. And I need to be doing the same thing. How can I leverage it to help my position and to help, me stay relevant in the business,
Yeah, it creates like inspiration sparks almost, right? Like, somebody in another department can be sharing something completely like different, but like in that moment, you might think, this might work really well for this one task that I have to do once a month. Like, maybe I'll go and try it. And there's a lot of great tools out there now, because there's not just ChatGPT, right? Like, you have N8N.io, where you can build like these automation flows. You have Maker. Like, there's a lot of cool little tools out there.
Note LM.
Which one is it?
Have you heard of Note LM.lm?
I have, yeah.
You can like take, for like lawyers, I was talking about this the other day, you can take like a CLE or anything from like a conference, drop it in there. It'll like make it your own podcast content to digest all that information instead of reading a big PDF.
Wow,
Just one way you can use it, but it'll literally make a podcast for you in a male's voice or a female voice, and it sounds real.
that's cool.
Yeah.
And see, and
That's great.
it's tools like that. They're popping up all over the place. Like, we do these website showcases for the agency, and I don't know if you've seen Google VO. Have you heard of Google VO? It's like the new, video making tool that Google launched.
I've not seen much about, I've heard about it, but don't know much
If
about
you're
it.
on Instagram and you see those videos where it's like a gorilla running through the
Yeah.
forest, and it's like got glasses on and he's talking, like, a lot of those style videos are made with VO. So I went to him, I was like, hey, why don't we try this out and make a commercial for this showcase instead of doing it a random way? And like, we used VO and like made this funny little commercial. They can only be 8 seconds long, so it's not like you don't have a lot of time to work with before you got to start stitching different scenes together. But
I've seen those videos. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
one
You
where
can
a
get,
chimpanzee, and he's trying to trade up from like a paperclip to a $10,000, and he's like running around. It's all AI generated. So
there's so much you can do with it that law firms can be leveraging. But I appreciate you sharing more about like your story and like what you've done in necessity, right? So the lawyer had a problem, could hire people, or he could find a solution. So ProPlaintiff.ai, you guys got to check it out. And it sounds like you got a new update coming out soon. So
yep,
we'll have to,
E3 at the end
I'll
of
have to
July.
follow you for that. Well, Jason, is there any other way folks should connect with you or follow you? Is there a big, social media platform that you're heavy on, that you share on?
I mean, you can follow LinkedIn, Jason Turnquist. I'm probably most active on Instagram, realistically. So, I mean, my handle there is Fire Jason. It's FYREJASON. So you can
Not
go
fire, Jason, like,
not like Fire Festival, no. Yeah, we actually had that name for our agency like 5 years before Fire Festival came out. But then when that whole debacle happened, we were getting a lot of hate online because they thought we were associated. And no,
I just watched the documentary on that. My wife was like, "Yeah, let's check this out," and I didn't even know anything about it until I watched it recently, about 6 months ago.
well, he resurrected it, tried to do a Fire Festival too, and I think it was just a ploy to sell the marketing brand, or to sell the brand, because they said they were going to do it, and then it leaked that they weren't, and then he's got the brand up for sale on like eBay or one of those sites right now.
My gosh, what a shit
Yeah.
show. Well,
So
Jason, thanks so much for sharing, and excited to see where your company goes and how I can help attorneys just be more efficient and do more attorney work, use their brains. But yeah, everyone just, leverage AI where you can and be smart about it. But, it can help in so many ways, just stuff you should not be doing or spending your time doing. So yeah, check it out and hopefully it can help you out. So anything else, Jason, you want to add before we go?
no, I think that's it. 7-day free trial. So go on and try it. Love to get your feedback.
Nice. Yeah, no risk. Go check it out, try it out, and
Yeah.
tell Jason if you liked it or not.
Yeah. Send me a DM. So thanks,
All right,
Kevin.
man. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.